Throughout our lives, we are all taught that learning and gaining knowledge is both a virtue and a goal. We assume that as we learn more, we become experts. As we learn, answers become clearer, and our confidence should grow. But, paradoxically, many people notice the opposite effect. The deeper they study a subject, the more aware they become of just how much they don't know. They begin to see vast spaces of ignorance where previously they saw only facts and certainty. This intriguing phenomenon is sometimes explained as the reverse of the Dunning-Kruger effect, a psychological concept describing how people with little knowledge tend to overestimate their competence, while those with greater expertise often underestimate their understanding. To understand why this happens, let's first consider the Dunning-Kruger effect itself. Named after psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, the effect emerged from their research in the late 1990s, showing that individuals with low ability at a task often overestimate their ability, while highly competent individuals may doubt their own prowess. The initial explanation is straightforward. If you lack basic knowledge of a subject, you also lack the ability to recognize your own mistakes or misunderstandings. Without realizing how deep or complex a field is, it's easy to believe you understand most of it, or even all of it. But what happens when someone begins to learn in earnest, when they move beyond the shallow waters of basic knowledge and venture into the depths of a discipline? For many, the journey brings an unexpected shift. Early confidence begins to recede, replaced by humility, uncertainty, and sometimes even confusion or imposter syndrome. This is the reverse Dunning-Kruger effect in action. One reason for this shift is that learning is not simply about acquiring facts. It is also about uncovering nuance, exceptions, and the sheer vastness of human knowledge. When you first learn a new topic, your knowledge is like a small island surrounded by an unknown sea. At the very beginning, your island feels large, and the sea of the unknown feels distant and manageable. You have limited exposure to the subject's true complexity. But as you study and your understanding grows, your island of knowledge expands. Yet with every expansion, your awareness of the vast surrounding ocean, what remains to learn, also grows. This awareness can be unsettling. As you learn more, you encounter ideas, theories, exceptions, subfields, and questions you had never even considered. New concepts might contradict or complicate what you thought you'd mastered. You start to see just how specialized and intricate any area of knowledge truly is. The more you know, the more you realize what you don't know. That sense of certainty that came with ignorance is replaced by caution and skepticism, sometimes to the point where experts might undervalue their competence or struggle to communicate their knowledge to non-experts. This progression can be visualized as a kind of mental map. Imagine a circle representing what you know. The circumference of the circle touches the boundary between the known and the unknown. When your knowledge is small, your awareness of the unknown is also small. But as your knowledge grows, your circle expands. So does your awareness of the unknown. You begin to see aspects of the field you never imagined existed, intersections with other subjects, debates among scholars, unresolved mysteries, and subtle complexities that challenge simplistic views. This is not only a product of humility, but also of accuracy. True experts are intimately familiar with the limitations of their knowledge, and with the fact that even the most established theories are provisional, subject to revision or overturning in the light of new evidence. They often encounter paradoxes and unsolved questions that remain at the edge of human understanding. Whether in science, philosophy, art, or any discipline, the pursuit of mastery is invariably humbling. The more you know, the clearer it becomes that knowledge is infinite, and your hold on it, however firm, is always partial. The phenomenon can be found everywhere. Consider science. A college student may learn the basics of biology or physics and feel that the core principles are well understood. But a career scientist working at the frontiers of research must wrestle daily with uncertainties, contradictions, and new discoveries that continually reshape the landscape. Each answer raises new questions. Every discovery expands the horizon. Or think about history. At the surface level, a student might memorize key dates and events with apparent confidence. But as they read more deeply, they discover how every event was shaped by countless factors: political, social, economic, cultural, many of which are debated among historians. They find that perspectives differ, sources conflict, and certainty is rare. The story grows muddier, not clearer, the deeper you go. The same is true in the arts. At the outset, art might seem like a collection of techniques and rules. Mastery, however, reveals subtlety, the context of movements, the purpose behind breaking rules, the infinite variety of expression, and the ongoing debates about meaning and value. Even the very process of learning highlights these patterns. In the early stages of a journey, learners often lack the background to ask the right questions. As their knowledge grows, so does their capacity to recognize meaningful gaps and deeper inquiries. This curse of expertise sometimes makes it especially hard for experts to explain difficult concepts to beginners, because they now see all the layers and nuances, while a novice is still only aware of the surface. There's also a psychological component. As our understanding matures, we become more reluctant to express total confidence. Where a beginner may rush in with quick answers, experts hesitate, aware of complexities and caveats. This cautiousness is not uncertainty as much as it is intellectual honesty. Many experts actually find inspiration and joy in these moments of humility. For them, recognizing the immensity of what remains to be discovered is not a defeat, but an invitation to keep learning. The more you learn, the richer and more intricate the world appears. It keeps the mind open and curious. The true lesson is that knowledge is not a destination, but an endless journey. For those embarking on their own paths of learning, it can be heartening to remember this pattern. Feeling overwhelmed or humbled by complexity is not a sign of weakness, but of growth. The transition from the Mount Stupid of initial overconfidence into the Valley of Despair, and then the gradual ascent towards genuine expertise, is a universal journey. That confusion means you are confronting the real depth of the subject and positioning yourself to make meaningful progress. The Reverse Dunning-Kruger Effect ultimately underscores one of the most profound truths of human experience. Wisdom is less about how much you know and more about how well you understand what you don't know. The most brilliant minds remain students at heart, driven by curiosity rather than certainty. They approach the world not with arrogance, but with wonder. So the next time you feel like the more you know, the less you know, take comfort. You are not regressing, you are becoming wise. The endless sea of what remains unexplored is not a source of despair, but the very reason to continue your voyage of discovery. Every new insight is both an achievement and an invitation to keep your mind open, your questions alive, and your curiosity insatiable. Embrace the humility that comes with true knowledge, for within it lies the truest path to learning, growth, and understanding the world in all its complexity.